Greetings, my good people of the PCL. This is Admin Krow here, your coach of the Toronto Star Raptors, bringing you another draft analysis featuring this time around Tapu Koko. Similar to my new video last time I posted on the PCL channel, I'm just gonna be going over some of the more abundant sets and I guess going over what I think Tapu Koko can what type of role Tapu Koko can play in a draft style format. And yeah, let's just get started, shall we? So in this video I'm actually gonna try not to go over I guess similar movesets over again and again, and obviously similar to my last video, the moves that I put on each one of those sets are not necessarily a move set as a whole, but more so I think the most abundant I guess most potent moves that will be put on a Tapu Koko that's playing this type of role, which is indicated in the in the nickname. So yeah, let's just get started. So first up, we have a fast pivot Tapu Koko. Similar to all the other fast electric types in draft league format, they are very appreciated simply because as electric types they cannot be paralyzed, meaning you will still have that. You will almost always have that advantage of being fast because they are immune to yellow magic, and at the same time usually electric types are really hard to switch into if your opponent doesn't have a electric immunity, namely good ground types, and even then a lot of electric types tend to pack hidden power ice because bow beam coverage is so good. That's why we do have a choice spec on the fast pivot set of Tapu Koko, simply because as a electric type it actually has one of the highest speed tier of 130, so it doesn't really get too much better than that. And on top of that, Tapu Koko does get the ability to electric surge, which further boosts its electric type attacks by 50%, if I guess to any type of electric attacks to both you and your opponent, by 50%. So that's what makes Tapu Koko so powerful. Not only he's very fast, but he can also hit extremely hard from both the physical side and special side. The physical side mainly because his physical attack is higher, sitting at 115, and special attacks usually is more appreciated in a team overall, simply because you cannot get burned, and you also bypass intimidate as a special attacker. That's why typically Tapu Koko is seen run specially offensive. Of course it can be physically offensive as well with that 115 base attack. Wild Charge is it's most likely going to be run on physical set, and Thunderbolt is main way of ditching out damage from a special set. And as I mentioned before, electric types are very appreciated in the league style format, just because they can act as a role of fast pivot. So as Tapu Koko, he not only gets access to Volt Switch like most electric types, but he also has access to U-turn, which is a very good click against team that has ground types or electric immunity, before just a good way to bring yourself momentum prior to getting rid of your opponent's electric immunity. Obviously it still gets Volt Switch and T-Bow I mentioned before as its main way of ditching out damage. And as an electric type, it also gets access to Grass Knot, so it doesn't necessarily have to run Hidden Power Ice all the time as a fast pivot. He can go for those Grass Knots on the incoming ground types, and you don't even necessarily have to run a choice item on a fast pivot. Most likely the only reason I have choice spec here because it's already so fast at a base speed of 130. It's going to be outspeeding your opponent most of the time if they're not a choice scarfer, or I guess he just has such a good speed tier already. And obviously you can even run Life Orb if you don't want to be locked into a move, especially against those opponent that does bring a ground type, which is pretty essential in my opinion in a draft style format, and especially important to bring those ground types or electric immunity against a team with Tapu Koko, simply because the electric surge is such a threat. And up next we do have the utility support set of Tapu Koko, which I guess is the second most potent set or type of Tapu Koko to run in a league style format. And the item I have here will be Light Clay, because in fact Coco does get access to dual screen, so it can be a really fast screen setter as well, and he can remove those screens and hazards as well with access to defog. And one of the other two really good moves to run on a utility Coco would be Taunt and Nature's Madness. Again, these four moves are not meant to be run on the same Coco, but they can be run on a utility / support Coco, obviously with its main role of being able to pivot around as well. So basically you can run Taunt along with full switch with T-Bolt, all that good stuff as well. So these are just some move suggestions if you want to go with a utility / support Coco. So Light Clay obviously is to boost the longevity of the screens, and Nature's Madness is a very good way to wall break and such a safe click against almost anything, especially against those ground types. And if those ground types are not weak to Grass Knot, you don't even have to make that switch. You don't even have to make that prediction a lot of the time if you're running a Nature's Madness on your Coco. Instead of going for Grass Knot predicting an incoming ground type or a mon with electric immunity, you can just go for Nature's Madness, doing half or 50% to whatever stays in, and potentially the incoming ground electric immunity as well. So it's just a very good move overall to act as a safe click, because the fact that Coco is such a force to be reckoned with offensively. Most of the time your opponent will try to switch into their ground types to prevent you to basically nullify your electric type attacks, and at the same time it prevents you from gaining momentum if you do go for that bull switch. So that's why Nature's Madness can be such a clutch move on a support variant or / support utility pivot Tapu Koko, and Taunt for those annoying setup sweepers, and be able to prevent subs or even wall break in a sense, to be able to prevent those hard walls, or I guess very defensive walls from setting up or recovery of the damage that Tapu Koko can do to them. So that's why Taunt is very good on a utility Coco as well. Namely, one of the bigger threats, well, I guess defense, one of the, I guess, more abundant types that can switch into Tapu Koko aside from ground types would be grass types, which also resists Coco's attack. Obviously U-turn is going to do a lot of damage to them, but a lot of grass types gets access to Leech Seed, so you can safely go for your electric type move while staying in, and just be able to taunt those grass types, from preventing them from getting back residual health if they do so decide to go for Leech Seed on your potential switch out of Tapu Koko, knowing that your Tapu Koko can't really do too much back to them. So you can go for a safe taunt and switch out accordingly. So yeah, I believe that's it. One thing I do like to cover is that Tapu Koko is a mon that's relatively linear, in my opinion, but it's just so fast and so offensive, so good at what it does. It's still definitely a really good pickup in tier format, especially again, fast electric types are very appreciated in draft league format overall. So yeah, up next we do have a Z Alola Nuke Tapu Koko packing the Tapunium Z. So this set is less seen in league format simply because, but it is overall very powerful. As you can see, I only have 3 out of 4 moves here, because these 3 moves are pretty much the only 3 moves you need to be able to literally O-Coast anything, or I guess 2 KO anything under the sun. Simply because Tapunium Z with Nature's Madness is a guaranteed 75% to whatever stays in or comes in, and if you run a physically offensive Tapu Koko, you will most likely be able to pick off the remaining 25% with either a T-Bolt or a Brave Bird. The Brave Bird is for those electric immunities, and there's very few mons that can live this combination. And obviously you can also run other coverage moves to help with KO, especially return will be another big one, simply because electric types can switch into both T-Bolt and Brave Bird pretty well. After taking Nature's Madness, you might live the 25%. I know that's a very niche, I guess, situation you might have there, but like I mentioned before, there's very few mons that will appreciate the combination of a Tapunium Z and a Brave Bird or a T-Bolt. This is very good way to eliminate one of your opponent's Pokemon with your Z move, simply because whatever comes in to take a potential electric type attack is definitely not gonna appreciate Tapunium Z into a Brave Bird or a return. So that's that. Uplinks, we do have CM Electric / Farium Z. So not only you can run the Tapunium Z, if you do participate in a league style format where you are going with different Z crystals as your draft, part of your draft, you can Tapu Koko is definitely one of the mons that that's very flexible with whatever Z crystal it picks up, especially with the Tapunium Z. I just want to cover quickly. There's only 4 Tapus in the entire format, so there's only going to be 4 teams with different Tapus, and so it's very unlikely that Tapunium Z will get taken because it's so specific. That only works on the Tapus, because it only works on the Tapus. So chances are, even if you don't draft your Z Crystal early, you will probably get Tapunium Z in the end. So if you're not a big fan of Z Crystal, definitely this is a very good combination with Coco. If you do get Tapu Koko early on, you can focus your draft on whatever mon you wish to pick up and not worry about the crystal until the very end. So that's basically a backup plan in case you don't get the Z crystal that you wanted for your team, right? So anyways, up next we do have Electrum Z with or Farium Z with Calm Mind. This is more of a bulky Calm Mind Tapu Koko set. You will probably want run max HP on, or not max HP, but a lot of HP on this Tapu Koko to help with your longevity. Knowing that your opponent, this set can, with Calm Mind and Roost, you can actually set up on a lot of your opponent's potential mons, simply because Tapu Koko is so offensive. It's most likely going to force some switches with your electric type attacks. That's how you can take advantage of it by going for a Calm Mind and into one of your nuke, either that being Farium Z with Dazzling Gleam, or a Wild Charge or T-Bolt with Electrum Z. So Roost is just there to help with recovery. If you want to run a more bulky variant of Tapu Koko, it's definitely doable. That's the only reason that you're gonna have Roost there, is if you're trying to go for more than +1 before you go for the nuke. Especially this helps with Dazzling Gleam with Farium Z, because as a fairy type attacker, Tapu Koko is pretty mediocre. It only gets a 95 special attack is not bad, but Dazzling Gleam itself is a pretty weak move relatively compared to its electric type attacks, and on top of that, it doesn't get the boost from the electric surge. So sometimes you might want to get to +2 before you bust off your Twinkle Tackle. So that was my idea there. And up next we do have a lesser, I guess, a more underlooked Tapu Koko set, or I guess a crystal pair, will be Tapu Koko with Finium Z. Obviously there's famous Brave Bird Tapu Koko. I believe Tapu Koko also gets Sky Attack. Don't quote me on that. Yes, it does. So you can run Sky Attack or Brave Bird along with Flynium Z for that huge nuke from the physical side as well. For those pesky grass types, which might very well switch into Tapu Koko's electric type attacks. And on top of that, obviously you want U-turn for those grass types. And one of the things that's underlooked with Tapu Koko is mirror move. Shout out to Paluki. So if you run Flynium Z mirror move, he actually brought it to my attention before I made this video. He is one of the coaches who actually picked up Flynium Z with Tapu Koko this season in season 3 of the PCL. So in case you guys don't know what it does, a mirror move basically copies your opponent's last move and then use it against them this turn. If your opponent used say a poison type attack, right? Flynium Z mirror move is going to copy it into acid downpour and then be able to hit your opponent back the following turn. So basically it copies the move and turns into a Z move, and on the same turn you get +2 attack. That's why you want to try to run it with physically offensive Coco, probably a Jolly Nature and U-turn there for pivot, Sky Attack for optional nuke, and Wild Charge is there after you get the +2 attack, so you can just blaze through your opponent's entire team on top of that Electric Surge. So it's definitely a very fun set to have in a league style format, and it's not something that your opponent would expect normally. So too bad Paluki didn't get a chance to use it this season before he traded away Flynium Z. But if I get a chance myself, I'll definitely try this combination in league format. It's a very fun set to use for sure. So up next, we do have a World Cup mix attack Tapu Koko with potential Life Orb or Magnet to further boost its electric type attacks. So as a mix attacker, Coco can hit from both physical side and special side, but the only way for it to set up I guess physical attack would be through World Cup. So if you're in a situation where you will need both of your physical attacks and electric type attacks to win the game. Physical attacks and special attacks to win the game. It can come in pretty clutch, but obviously it's not as used, as often used as all the other type of Tapu Kokos that I mentioned. But what you can do is set up a World Cup in late game and just be able to sweep through your opponent's team as they try to find out what type of offensive Tapu Koko you are. So by the time they find out, it's usually too late because Tapu Koko is such an offensive threat. And for example, if your opponent goes into like an AV user, you can go for a Wild Charge. While if they go into like most of the time, if you see Tapu Koko in a battle, you want to people expect it to be especially offensive, right? So you can work up on the turn that they make the switch and then go for a physical attack move to catch them off guard, because they don't usually expect Tapu Koko to be physically offensive. And if they just try to sack something, obviously you don't have to reveal that you're actually physically offensive. You can go for a special attack to knock out their stack, and once they switch into say especially defensive wall after you reveal that you have Thunderbolt, you can hit them up with a Wild Charge, a +1 Wild Charge after the World Cup as well. So that's a very niche way to make use of Tapu Koko's mix attacking ability. So yeah, I guess that's going to be it from me regarding the draft analysis on Tapu Koko. So hope you guys enjoyed. This is going to be Admin Krow here, signing off. See you guys next time. Goodbye, peoples of the PCL.